We talk a lot about Indigenous people and our teachings, but how are they actually taught? There are a lot of conflicting opinions on how to share Indigenous culture. Should it be with Indigenous people only? Whether the cultural teachings are inclusive to allies of Indigenous people, or how to learn about these special and sacred knowledge in a respectful way. With all of the different tribes and nations in Turtle Island that make up the collection of Indigenous cultures, there are so many different Indigenous teachings to choose from. How do they all get passed down from generation to generation? In today's video, I can't wait to share with you 4 special ways that Indigenous people teach our culture with our communities, families, and to allies and friends of our people as well. So if you want to know how you can learn, celebrate, and connect with the Indigenous people and these sacred teachings, then keep on watching. Hi there, I'm Mallory. Welcome back to the Tribal Trade channel, where we share new videos every single week about smudging, Indigenous culture, and Native teachings. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you never miss a video. So how do Indigenous people pass down cultural knowledge or our beliefs, worldview, history, and ways of life? So much of this information isn't easily accessible for people who want to learn about Indigenous people and our culture. Before we get into talking about the 4 ways, the how, Indigenous people teach Indigenous teachings, I first want to clarify the why, and why the information on our culture isn't well documented in the first place. Why is it such a struggle to learn about Indigenous people in Canada and the United States to begin with? The quick answer for that question is that colonization, when the Europeans arrived to North America and attempted to wipe out the native culture, the settlers created and forced laws upon Indigenous people that made celebrating and practicing the culture illegal. So in order to continue keeping our ways of life alive, we had to do it in secret. Now, when it comes to teaching and passing down Indigenous culture now in present day, it is no longer illegal. Woo! And we can do so without being punished by the law. How we as Indigenous people share Indigenous teachings can always vary between tribes and nations or groups of Indigenous people. There are a few main ways Indigenous teachings are taught, though. Keep watching to find out how these important teachings are passed down to Indigenous people all over the world. All teachings originate in different places and form due to a variety of factors, but the only way those teachings survive is by being taught or passed down. For a very long time, specific teachings have always been handed down by specific people in specific ways through spoken word, stories, art, music, and more. Each teaching has a unique place in Indigenous culture, and that includes how it is shared with others. So how exactly do we pass Indigenous teachings down from generation to generation? Now let's talk about 4 ways we share our teachings. Now there is no right or wrong way to pass down Indigenous teachings. Each tribe or group of Indigenous people might have different ways of doing things. In general, passing down these teachings can be as simple as a conversation between loved ones or expressing oneself through art. Now, number 1. One way Indigenous teachings are passed down is by family and friends. In the same way all things are taught, it is our family and friends who take what they have learned from their ancestors and pass it down to us, our relatives, our elders, and our friends in each of our tribes or nations. Each person in any given tribe is incredibly valuable because they might know teachings that other people have never even heard of. Every person's journey is different, and therefore every person has unique teachings, experiences, and insights to share. You never know who someone else has crossed paths with. Our connections with each other are so important because they allow us to learn from each other, even if we don't realize we're learning. Teachings handed down from person to person among communities is one of the main ways Indigenous teachings travel and grow from generation to generation. Now, number 2. The second way Indigenous teachings are passed down is by chiefs or leaders in the community and elders, of course. Chiefs and elders are some of the most respected members of our communities. Elders are those who have been recognized by their community as healthy and wise, spiritually, psychologically, and mentally, regardless of their age. In general, they are people that the rest of the community looks to for guidance, wisdom, and teachings. Elders have lived in their communities for a long time and therefore have cultural wisdom to share. Elders act as cultural advisors for their tribe or nation and are regarded as teachers to their Indigenous people. These elders play an important role in passing down Indigenous teachings because they have so much to share and are already regarded with respect in their communities. That means people listen to what they have to say, and therefore elders can influence the teachings within the community. Elders serve as the teachers of Indigenous communities, which is one of the main ways teachings are passed down among Indigenous people. Who taught your Indigenous culture to you? Was it one of the people we've mentioned here today or someone else? Please share with us in the comments below. There are a couple more ways that Indigenous teachings are traditionally passed down. The third way Indigenous teachings are passed down to Indigenous people is through word of mouth. For many years, the only way to pass down all Indigenous teachings and culture was through word of mouth. There was no other way to communicate, and especially no internet to share information on. So the only way to share was to speak, and that's where most Indigenous teachings originated. Also, Indigenous people have long been prevented from embracing and sharing our Indigenous culture. For many years, we as Indigenous people could not share or participate in our culture, and therefore we could only keep it alive in secret through word of mouth. This tradition is still alive today, though, of course, and now we have many more ways to share too. This oral tradition is still alive and well, though. Of course, we have many more ways to share too, but still, the tradition of holding a conversation and intimately sharing these traditions with each other is one of the most powerful ways to teach and to learn. Now on to our fourth and final way Indigenous teachings are passed down. The fourth way that Indigenous teachings are passed down within Indigenous people are through art, music, and other mediums. Any form of expression is also a way of passing down Indigenous knowledge. Indigenous people have also long used stories, songs, dances, carvings, paintings, baskets, and more to pass down Indigenous teachings. With the advancement of the internet and digital media, we have also unlocked a whole new world of being able to share these teachings and customs with anyone who cares to learn, from online storytelling, sharing artwork, and even videos just like this one. By creating something, you're harnessing the power of your experience, as well as your knowledge and your wisdom, and giving it to the world in a new form. This is an incredibly powerful method of teaching, and creation is so crucial to Indigenous culture and worldview. These simple methods of teaching are what have kept Indigenous culture and teachings alive for generations. Though these simple methods can be as simple as having a conversation or creating a painting, they are the reason why Indigenous culture continues to thrive and grow and expand around the world. Thanks to these traditional methods, we now get to put our new modern spin on these methods and share Indigenous teachings with you through this YouTube channel. If you're ready to keep learning, we have more videos on some of these important topics mentioned today. Make sure you subscribe to our channel to dive deeper into specific topics just like this one, as well as smudging or the medicine wheel. Thank you so much for watching today. If you'd like to learn about this topic further and would like to engage with some of our other topics and resources used in this video, you can find links below to some great places to get started. Also, if you want to be part of an inclusive community, or if you're ready to learn more about Indigenous topics and teachings, join us in our private Facebook community for discussion and fun. Lastly, we would love it if you would share with us in the comments something from your Indigenous culture that you think other Indigenous people might not know about. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.